All right, welcome back everybody. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome to Notes to Fret, where we are all about turning theory into riffs. And this is probably the first time a lot of you have seen me. My name is Jeff. I'm the one who's been putting all the lessons together. I'm the voice you hear week after week. So, hello everybody. One of the things I wanted to do with this video is put an introduction to the channel together to really get out the message of what some of my teaching philosophies are, and really to talk about what music theory is and what music theory necessarily isn't. Right off the bat, when you think about your music theory journey, a lot of us guitarists kind of think to ourselves like, wow, that's a huge thing that is about to kind of occur with my musical journey. Now, for me, where the whole thing kind of started was growing up, loved Bach, Beethoven, Mozart. And so I was always in a scenario where in order to play that music, I was always waiting for somebody to hopefully translate the music onto, or into tablature. So what I wound up doing was going and talking with violinists and pianists to get, as much insight on some of these songs that I could, so I could actually play them, because I didn't read music. I didn't know anything about music theory. And oftentimes the response was, Jeff, guitar players don't know how to read music. You don't know music theory. And they were right. And it kind of frustrated me. And so that's really where my journey on learning music theory kind of begun. And, when I started thinking about if I wanted to put this YouTube channel together, it was really from a perspective of I can appreciate a lot of the challenges that we guitarists put on ourselves and what that music journey looks like specifically for guitarists. And so that was really that was what kickstarted this YouTube channel. That I wake up one day and just think, oh, I'm going to do it. To some extent, yes, but it took me a little while to kind of get the plan together and everything else for it. But that's where this channel comes from, right? And with music theory, it's one of those things that I will never put a title out there, music theory in 10 minutes. Would that get a lot of clicks on the video? Probably, but it'd be clickbaity. Music theory is a journey. It's a very deep subject, right? So after 10 minutes, I might be able to talk to you about some definitions, but really music theory it's a commitment. That's the only way I can really put it. It's not hard. It just takes a commitment. It's well within everyone's grasp, but it really is something that I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I put out a video and said, "Oh, music theory in 10 minutes." It's not the truth. So I did want to kind of put that out there for some of the philosophy that I kind of put together for this channel is going into deep dives, right? Now, one of the things that I think a lot of guitarists put up as kind of a blocker, if you will, is they think something like this means music theory. Right? This is not music theory. This is a piece of music. Probably looks complex, but a lot of guitarists will look at this and go, "Whoa, I have to know that to understand music theory." And the answer to that is not a bit, not even a little. We will get into reading music on this channel, but this is not music theory, right? So I wanted to kind of point that out. Now, the other area is we as guitarists are infamous for, within the first 5 minutes of probably our first guitar lesson saying, "Hey, learn your scales." And we pick this up and we go, okay, patterns, connect the dot, move it around. But then, 6 months to a year later, you ask the guitarist, do you know where all your G flats on your fretboard are? Or all your C sharps or whatever it may be? And the answer is like, well, I know where a couple of them are. Definitely, the low E string, we pretty much know. But everything else in there is kind of a challenge, but we can kind of move these patterns up and down the fretboard. And, when you're looking at that, over time, it's fine when you're first starting, within the first couple months to get your fingers moving, to kind of get your ear to hear some of the sounds. But over time, it gets you locked in, right? And that's another area with music theory, you'll hear a lot of, I know I heard a lot of other guitarists say, oh, well, music theory, it locks you in. Well, no, it frees you. It opens everything up, right? I think that patterns like this is really what kind of locks us in, right? We get locked into these kind of, connect the dots sort of things. And with that being said, the other thing that I won't be doing on this channel either is bringing up a lot of chord charts, right? When you see something like this, and you can get one of these, anywhere on the internet, they're fine to understand where some of these patterns are, right? So if you're playing something, hey, let's play a piece in D minor, whatever it is. It's nice to have that quick reference, right? So knowing some of the patterns is very useful for your starting position, right? Just to kind of start things off, to kind of get a feel. This is useful. But from a theory perspective, you don't really understand how to put the chords together. And to give you one example, when you think about Eddie Van Halen, when he came in to put the solo into Michael Jackson's Beat It, one of the things, there's an interview with him, it's a good interview. He talks about that the section that he was going to solo over didn't have enough chord progression or changes to do anything interesting. So he actually rearranged the chord progressions so he could solo over that piece much better. And as we all know, it's an incredible guitar solo, right? But in order to do that, Eddie had to understand how chords were constructed, so he knew which melody put over that, right? Which notes to hit when, how to transition, everything. So trust me, Eddie Van Halen knew music theory. You don't just kind of come in with that and kind of wing it with connect the dots. And you don't just kind of wing it like, hey, should I pull the first pattern and the second? That's just not how it works. So there's that underlying understanding that I think is so incredibly critical, because as you move on and you start to progress, once you understand music theory, your music will just explode with your unique style. It will be you, right? It won't be kind of that standard, take these patterns, move these dots around sort of thing. The other thing when it comes to some of the chords, when I first started my journey on like a larger, extended chords, my instructor was like, hey, here's how you put minor ninths together, and we'll get into minor ninths later. But then he pretty much, sent me home and said, hey, I want to see what you come up with next week. No problem, no chord charts, no nothing, just understanding how to put chords together. It's cool. So I came back, and this was the D minor ninth chord that I decided to come up with magically, whatever. I think my guitar instructor's exact words were, I've never seen anybody play that chord that way. Fair enough. I haven't either. Now that I look, over the years, I've never seen that either. Not an easy one to kind of get to, and you'll see why. And so here, I'm just going to kind of let this one play out for a minute, and you'll hear me completely mess it up later on, because it's a very difficult chord to get to. So if I'm moving up and down the fretboard to be able to jump back to this chord, not an easy task. And you'll hear that here in a minute. But I do want you to hear the chord, kind of see some of the craziness, and see where some of the problems are getting your voice leadings back to this chord. So let's take a listen really quick. Now we'll move on. So, as you can see, but understanding how you put the chords together versus, just seeing someone else's pattern, that's when you come up with something unique. It might be crazy, but who knows when you can use, something like that. And so that's another reason that I just don't do the teaching from the patterns perspective, right? And again, we definitely go into deep dives on all this stuff. Again, you will never see a title from me, Music Theory in 10 minutes. I think that's clickbaity. I don't think it's honest or genuine. So yes, my videos are longer, but one of the things in my mind when you're watching one of the videos is that you have your guitar and you're sitting down for a lesson. By the way, when I do something on the keyboard, my thought process there is I want to make certain that your ear can hear some of the information that's getting put out there, but necessarily watching me play it on guitar and then only for you to copy that, I think, in my opinion, that's kind of pulling away from the lesson. If your ear kind of hears some of the uniqueness, let's say, it's something with Lydian, whatever, your ear can hear it. The whole lesson is talking about how to put that together and, chord progressions with it. You hear it, you kind of see the information, you put it on the fretboard your way, right? You create it, you understand, you put it on the fretboard. Who cares if you mess things up, right? You're not recording a song for the world, you're recording for your learning. So that's one of the reasons. So when I am putting something on the keyboard, it's to avoid trying to say, hey, here's how I would do it on the fretboard, copy me. I don't think that's helpful. Let me know if you have a different opinion on that. But anyways, with that, with all that being said, I did want to get this video out to really kind of talk about some of the philosophies on the channel. One of the things that I will be doing is I'm going to start putting some videos together that kind of talk about what the lesson is that's coming up, right? And they'll be relatively short videos, but then, the lesson that I put out on Fridays or Saturdays will have, kind of a preemptive video to hopefully help, kind of get you prepped for the lesson and make the lessons a little bit easier. And I may help me shorten up some of the lessons as well. But, again, with all that being said, the lessons are going to be a little bit longer here. I am trying to, improve myself to get them condensed down. But really, that's where it is in my mind, you're sitting down, you're sitting down and watch one of my videos. I owe you as much information as I can because you're taking out your time to watch one of my videos. And again, in my mind, you have your guitar with you, you're sitting down to learn something. So I really feel that what I want to do is be able to give you a lesson that makes use of your time, right? So I do go into depth. And again, some of the videos are longer because of that. But again, that's kind of my philosophy. Would love to hear what you think about it down in the comments. But with that being said, I will put together my next video for some of the modes. But I will be starting this week to put out that preemptive video as well. So with all that being said, thank you again, everybody, for watching. Really enjoying the channel. Really enjoy responding to everybody's comments. So let me know what you think about this intro, and we will see you in the next video where we'll start going over some more of the modes and the chord progressions. All right? Take care, everybody.